Everyone, this is Audrey Sevalt. I spoke at the webinar about preparing for the Colorado Family Program that starts on January 1st, 2024. We had a lot of questions that popped up right before and after the webinar, so I wanted to make sure I got those answered for you in a quick video. So I'm going to walk you through those questions and some answers. I did also speak to the agency about some of the tougher ones. So let's go ahead and get started here so that you can see all those great questions. One question was, we have an employee that works in Virginia. Should he or we be paying into family? No, if that's the only employee you have. However, there's a caveat to that. If that employee in Virginia ends up providing you a count of more than 10 employees nationally, then you are obligated to pay family tax for just your Colorado employees. So if you have Colorado employees, then you have over 10 employees, then you're going to be obligated to pay 0.45% for the pay for just the Colorado employees, not the Virginia. Right? Next question. If you have employees in multiple states, those wages are being reported in Colorado for unemployment purposes or taxes. Do they qualify for this program? No. Only employees who work in and reside in Colorado qualify for this program. Anyone out of state does not. Now, as I mentioned in the earlier question, when you have multiple states, if all those employees equal to 10 or more employees, then you need to pay the 0.45% employer tax for those Colorado employees. Next question. Do they still accrue PTO and Healthy Family Workplace Act or paid sick leave while on leave? No, you don't have to do that. No, so the answer is no. And also, how do benefit deductions work while on leave? So let's walk through each piece of this. With regard to the PTO and HFWA, you should have in your payroll system the ability to put someone on an unpaid leave of absence so that PTO and sick time are no longer occurring because they're not working any hours. All right, so you want to make sure you've got that set up. That's the easiest way for you to see it not accrue while employees are gone. With regard to employee deductions, you should keep track of what they owe you while they're gone, since they're not being paid, and make arrangements with them to either pay you by check while they're out or pay you upon return to work through payroll deductions. So you've got to think that through prior to them going on leave. And you should get some kind of an agreement up front as to what they plan to do. And you just keep paying the premiums while they're out, right? Next question. I have many employees in Texas. Did I hear right that I owe 0.45% to the Colorado family in Colorado for the wages they earn? Wages are reported in Texas. No, you do not have to pay family tax for employees living in Texas, right? It's only, you pay, if you have over 10 employees, you only pay 0.45% for employees residing in Colorado. So just keep in mind that the Texas employees do count toward head count for whether or not you pay the 0.45% as the employer, but it's only toward the Colorado employees. I know this is so confusing because everybody keeps asking the same question in different ways, but it's you paying the tax for just the employees who reside in Colorado, the employer tax, right? And then the other question was, you mentioned that leave is 12 weeks per year. Is that based on a 40-hour work week, total 480 hours? No, part-time employees are eligible too. And the benefits are calculated based on a sliding scale using the individual's average weekly wage from the previous 5 calendar quarters in relation to the average weekly wage from the state of Colorado, the wage from Colorado. I did call the agency about that and I said, do you mean to tell me that part-time employees could end up with a richer benefit because they're paid less? And the answer was yes, they could end up getting up to 90% of their wages. So part-time employees win big if they go on family. And the next question is the 12 weeks per year per calendar year, or is it a rolling 12-month period? It is a rolling 12-month period. So it's based on the event that happened. And then for 1 year, it goes on. So it's not based on calendar year. But, you know, employees, if they haven't used all 12 weeks in that year from the event, and they have another event occurred, they haven't used all 12 weeks, they can still take family to get the rest of those 12 weeks. So and that's particularly true for intermittent, right? Next question. This is a long one here. Can an employee participate in a privately funded family plan through their employers and also individually participate in family with the state? The employer opts out of the state plan, essentially double dipping. No. No, they can't. Now, I keep asking the agency questions about how are you going to make sure there's no double dipping. They do not have an answer to that. But the only people that can opt in to family on their own are 1099 workers. So employees can't do that. All right, next question. What are the penalties for family violation? Oh, there's several, and this might be something you can talk to your attorney about. But the aggrieved individual, if you violate family, can bring a civil action against the company. They can also, if employers choose not to follow the law, they're subject to the damages and equitable relief. And then it can actually, there's an employee can bring in a claim within 2 years after the event occurred, and if it's willful, action on behalf of the employer could be 3 years after it happened. And then there's also a fine structure, which has not yet been completely determined, but there's a maximum fine of $500 per violation. So yeah, it can be expensive if you choose not to violate, if you choose to violate the family law, as most laws are. All right, so the next question is, do you have to say to your employee why you're taking family? You know, I've gotten 2 different answers from the agency. One said, yep, you can go ahead and treat it like FMLA, where FMLA is where the employee comes to you and gets a medical certification form and brings it back to you. And then you have all the medical information. But it's different with family. So one person said yes, just like FMLA. Another person said no, because it's tied to HIPAA rules. So I would tell you that the agency does not know the answer to that yet. And I'm going to try again later in this year to get a real answer. I don't think I've got one. All right, the next question, oops, I went too fast here. The next question is, are employees allowed to ask for, are they allowed to ask for copies of the application and medical, are employers allowed to ask for copies of the application and medical certification? Same as the last question, we honestly do not know yet. As I told you before, FMLA mandates that you get copies, but family does not have clear direction on this. We should know later this year. All right, and if I were the employer and I would want proof that the employee actually applied for the benefit, without that, how do you know they aren't really sick? They're simply trying to get some time off. Well, so the agency, they have to turn their application to the agency with a doctor's certification. And the agency in turn will ask you for information. The agency is going to assume that you trust what the agency tells you to do, and that you assume that it is for legitimate reasons tied to family. So essentially, you don't know for sure. You can't get proof. So they're going to file the claim, you'll ask for a verification, and that's probably the best you can do. You know, and it's similar to COVID, the COVID pay that we had, the 80 hours of COVID pay, and the HFWA's paid sick time. There are a lot of restrictions on asking for proof. So I'm not surprised that families are ambivalent about documentation. So with that, I hope I answered all your questions. Please ask more if you have any more. We're going to have another webinar later this year that should get the rest of the questions answered with a little more clarity, thanks to the agency knowing the answers. Thank you very much.